العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So the last mas'ala we took was with regards to the صيد, hunting. So the Shaykh says rahimahullah, ولا يحرم حيوان إنسي ولا يحرم, so it is not, it is permissible to slaughter an animal that is domesticated. مثلا sheep, camels and these sorts of animals that you're meant to obviously slaughter anyway for hadi or chicken and so on, then that is absolutely fine. It is not considered a wild animal that you're not meant to hunt. ولا صيد البحر, also لا يحرم صيد البحر, also hunting is not, or hunting from the sea is not impermissible, meaning it is halal. لا يحرم يحل, it is permissible based on the ayah of Allah Jalla wa Ala, أحل لكم صيد البحر وطعامه متاعا لكم وللسيارة. لكن that is outside of the haram area. As for when you're in the haram, you're not allowed to hunt what we mentioned in the previous mas'ala, and you're not meant to hunt anything that is also from the sea animals, because hunting is impermissible within the haram in of itself, as we shall see towards the end of this chapter. So mathalan, if a person brings about a pond or a river and puts a lot of fish in there, you're in a state of ihram and you're in a state of ihram and you're in the haram, then you're not allowed to what? You're not allowed to hunt, or you're not allowed to fish. ولا صيد البحر ولا قتل محرم الأكل والصائل. ولا قتل, where does that go back to? ولا يحرم. نعم. He says ولا يحرم حيوان إنسي ولا صيد البحر, أي لا يحرم صيد البحر. ولا قتل, أي لا يحرم, it is not impermissible, meaning it is permissible to kill محرم الأكل. محرم الأكل, that which is haram to eat anyway, such as snakes, donkeys, scorpions, lions, tigers, anything that has what? Canines, anything that is. So it is permissible to kill them due to the harm that it causes as well, due to the harm that it can cause. وَالصَّائِلِ, also it is permissible to kill the sa'il. The sa'il is the one that attacks you, and you kill it in order to defend yourself from the harm. You kill it as a form of self-defense, then that is permissible. Then the Shaykh says rahimahullah وَيَحْرُمُ. Like before we go to يَحْرُمُ, there was a mas'ala that we missed out with the deep, with the perfume mas'ala. We said وَإِن طَيَّبَ, if he puts perfume بدنه أو ثوبه, on his clothing or on his body, is what? Not permissible. أو الدهن بمطيب, or he applies cream on his body that was asal of it. The asal of it is what? Perfume. That is impermissible. Then the smelling, or shamma, smelling perfume we talked about, that's number 4. أو تبخر, this is what we missed out. أو تبخر بعود ونحوه فدا. أو تبخر, or he uses as oud. تبخر, he fumigates, or he uses it in the air, and he blows it into the air also, or oud, he puts it into the kind of like the stick that they would that blows out the fire, or it's incense. That sort of using it in that sort of way, then that is considered impermissible, and you would need to pay a fidya, expiation. No. Then the Shaykh says rahimahullah وَيَحْرُمْ عَقْدُ النِّكَاحِ. Now he's going to the next mahdhur, which is what? Number 7. وَيَحْرُمْ, and it is impermissible عَقْدُ النِّكَاحِ, to carry out a nikah contract. وَلَا يَصِحُّ, and it is not valid. وَلَا يَصِحُّ, it is not valid. Why? He says وَيَحْرُمُ, it is haram عَقْدُ النِّكَاحِ, to do a nikah ceremony, and it is invalid. نعم النهي يقتضي التحريم النهي يقتضي التحريم والفساد النهي a prohibition يقتضي it necessitates prohibition and the fact that it is invalid أحسنت ويحرم عقد النكاح ولا يصح and it is invalid ولا فدية لكن it doesn't have expiation. Why doesn't it have expiation? Because أصلا it is invalid. Whereas when you slaughtered or when you مثلا there was telephone that you've destroyed something, you've harmed something, or when you put perfume on, you've enjoyed something. That is why there was fidya. Here, the aqd aslan is fasid anyway. Yes, a person is blameworthy, sin-wise, lakin they are what? They haven't, their aqd is invalid anyway. And that is due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith of Uthman, where he says, لا ينكح المحرم ولا ينكح لا ينكح المحرم ولا ينكح لا ينكح ولا ينكح ولا ينكح. طيب, he does not carry out a nikah. He does not carry out a nikah, and he does not carry out a nikah, and he doesn't do nikah for himself either. ولا فدية, and there is no fidya. Then he says, وتصح الرجعة. لكن الرجعة is permissible. Firstly, ولا فدية, there is no fidya. Why? Due to there's no expiation. Why? Due to the lack of evidence. There's no evidence saying that if a person conducts a nikah contract or aqd in ihram, they have to slaughter an animal. وتصح الرجعة. What is رجعة? نعم, a person divorces his wife and he takes her back. So he says رجعة is permissible. Surah al-Mas'ala, a man divorces his wife 1 month before Hajj. Then they go to Hajj, or he goes Hajj and he sees her in Mecca. And then he says, رجعتك, I take you back. He takes her back in a state of ihram. That is permissible. لماذا? Why? نعم, there's no aqd there. Aslan, that's his zawja anyway. And the ties of zawjiyah haven't ended. So that is permissible. وإن جامع, then he says, وإن جامع, if he has intercourse. قبل تحلل الأول. Pay attention here. He already said nikah is impermissible, صح? Now he's going to talk about 2 masail. Number one, jima'. And number 2, mubashara, intercourse and foreplay. As for intercourse, there is a cut-off point whereby if a person falls into intercourse at that point or anything before that point, then their hajj is invalid. Then there's a point that if they fall into the act any time after that boundary, then their hajj is valid, but they have to slaughter an animal. Is that understood? طيب. So he says, وإن جامع, if he has intercourse with his wife, قبل التحلل الأول, before being halal the first time. التحلل الأول is the first boundary of you becoming halal. Let's say there are 2 steps for you exiting ihram. يعني قبل التحلل الأول means the first exiting of ihram. The first exiting ihram. طيب. There are 3 things that a person can leave the ihram with on the day of Yawm al-Nahar. Number 1, the throwing of the stones, the jamarat. Number 2, the shaving of the head or cutting of the hair. Number 3, tawaf al-ifada, tawaf of umrah, tawaf of hajj. These are what? 3 things that you're meant to do on the day of hajj, Yawm al-Nahar. If you perform 2 of these, you've passed the first stage. You've done the first exiting of hajj, of ihram. You haven't fully exited ihram, but you've what? Partially exited ihram. That is called at-tahallul al-awwal. Is that understood so far? So let's say now we're on the 10th day. Yesterday was Arafah, today is the 10th day. Pay attention. Today is the 10th day. I go past Jamarat. I throw the stones. Then there's a razor near there, a barber, and I trim my hair or I cut my hair off. How many things have I done? 2. Out of a possible 3. Excellent. Because I've done these 2, I have partially exited ihram. That is called at-tahallul al-awwal. Is that understood? So he says, وَإِن جَامَعَ, if a person has intercourse with his wife, قبل تحلل الأول, before the first partial exiting of Ihraam, what is going to happen? The following. Lakin understand the Surah Al-Mas'ala for 1 second. Pay attention. He's going to give us the ruling, but I want you to understand the Surah Al-Mas'ala. When does Hajj start? On what day? 8th day. Ahsantum. On the 8th day, a person puts on his Ihraam. He has intercourse with his wife. He comes into this mas'ala. Is that understood? Okay, he put his Ihraam on the 8th day. He goes on to Arafah. Yom Arafah, instead of making dua, he has intercourse with his wife. On what day? 9th day. So far, has he exited Ihram partially? No. On the 10th day, he wakes up, he leaves Muzdalifah, and then he has intercourse with his wife. Has he exited Ihram partially? No, he's still in Tahallul. قبل تحلل الأول, he's before the first Tahallul. Any time during this time, any period during this time, if he has intercourse, then he comes into this mas'ala because he hasn't partially exited the Ihram. Okay. He now goes to Mina. He goes past Mina. He goes to the Jamarat. He throws the stones. And then he goes to the nearest barber and he shaves off his head. How many acts has he done? 2. Then he says, he goes to the hotel with his wife and he says, I'm going to go to Umrah tonight. I'm going to go to Makkah tonight and do tawaf. During that stage, he has intercourse with his wife. Has he exited Ihram partially or has he not exited? Partially exited. He doesn't come into this mas'ala. Have you understood? The person that comes into this mas'ala that we're about to mention the rulings for is a person who has intercourse with his wife before doing 2 of the 3 things that you do on Yawm al-Nahar. طيب. He says, وإن جامع, if he has قبل intercourse with his wife, قبل تحلل الأول, before partially exiting Ihram with, you can write بفعل أحد أو بفعل 2 من أنساك الحج, بفعل 2 من أنساك الحج. طيب, he does 1 of these, he does 2 of these before partially exiting. Number 1, فسد نسكه. Number 1, his Hajj is invalid from that point onwards. His Hajj is what? Invalid from that point onwards. That's number 1. وَيَمْضِيَانِ فِيهِ. Like in number 2, they carry on with their Hajj. They don't say, خلاص, there's no point us doing any action after that. خلاص, let's just go home. That's not permissible. Due to the fatwa of the Sahaba, they have to carry on. So let's say they had intercourse Yawm Arafah. Can they say, خلاص, we're going to go back to Makkah or we're going to go back home because Ihram is done? La. They have to stay until what? Yawm Arafah, the 10th day. They have to throw the stones, cut their hair, or he has to cut his hair, and also do tawaf. And what? On the 11th day and the 12th day and so on. Like at that point, that of Ihram. Like on the 11th day and the 12th day, they have to carry on the Ihram. That is the meaning of وَيَمْضِيَانِ أي يَسْتَمِرَانِ. They continue doing the Ihram. How many things so far? وَيَقْضِيَانِهِ ثَانِيَ عَامٍ. وَيَقْضِيَانِهِ ثَانِيَ عَامٍ. They also have to make it up immediately in the next year. So let's say 1446, a person fell into this act and they carried on their Hajj. This year, 1447, they need to do Hajj this year. Why? Because it is obviously the fatwa of the Sahaba, but also al-amru yaqtadi al-fawriya. Al-amr, command necessitates that you do it straight away. Where's that heat? Please turn it off. Jazakallah. It necessitates that you do it immediately. Jazakallah. Therefore, they have to do it immediately. نعم. So that is how many things? 3. Number 4, Tawbah. And number 5, عليه بدنة. They have to slaughter a camel. طيب, he says questions after here. He says رحمه الله وتحرم المباشرة. So that was with regards to جماع. مفهوم هذا, what do we understand from this? وإن جامع قبل تحلل الأول, if he has intercourse before تحلل الأول, the first partial exiting. You should ask yourselves the question now, which is what? What happens if he has it بعد تحلل الأول? That is to come inshallah. طيب, he says رحمه الله وتحرم المباشرة. لا, it doesn't mention it. As for تحلل الأول, then he carries on with his Hajj as normal. He carries on his Hajj as normal, and he obviously has to pay a fidya. He has to pay a fidya. Then he says rahimahullah وتحرم المباشرة, and foreplay is impermissible during Hajj. قال جل وعلا فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج. He says that أن رفث يعني جماع. Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه and many of the Salaf, they interpreted it to be ولا رفث أي جماع. وتحرم المباشرة, مباشرة or foreplay is impermissible. فإن فعل ماذا؟ فإن فعل, if he does what? المباشرة. فإن فعل المباشرة فأنزل, and he ejaculates, لم يفسد حجه, his Hajj is not invalid. وعليه بدنة, لكن upon him is to slaughter a camel. وعليه بدنة. طيب, next to عليه بدنة, right? والقول الثاني, or the second opinion, is that he doesn't have to slaughter a camel, he needs to slaughter or have مثلا do the normal fidyatul adha. Fidyatul adha is what? Consists of how many things? 3 things, which is slaughtering, Ihraam or siyam, يعني slaughtering a sheep or fasting 3 days, or what? Feeding 6 people. طيب, is that understood? Yeah. طيب. Then he says لكن يحرم من الحل لطواف الفرض. Let me see you on Abdillah for 1 second. Now, so here where it says لكن يحرم من الحل لطواف الفرض. Okay. This part of the matan, the ulama, some of they differ on interpreting this. Some of them say that this is actually a mistake. It's sabq al-lisan, is a slip of the tongue, slip of the pen. This is because the previous mas'ala was what? What was the previous mas'ala that we just studied now? Mubashara. What did he say? فَإِنْ فَعَلَ فَأَنْزَلَ, if he ejaculates فَأَنْزَلَ لَمْ يَفْسُدْ, what? His Hajj is not what? Not fasid. His Hajj is not fasid. So here he says لكن, however, يحرم من الحل, لكن he has to go out of the sacred Mecca area, the Haram area, and لطوافه, so that he can put his Ihraam on again, لطواف الفرض, so he can do tawaf again. Can you see there's a bit of a na'am? Because here he said his ihram is valid, his hajj is valid. Ihramuhu, his hajj and ihram is valid. But then he says, however, he needs to leave the ihram. طيب. Al-Bahuti rahimahullah, the sheikh that explains this, or one of the most prominent, one of the best explanations for Zaad, and the most common one, he says rahimahullah, or because there's a bit of confusion on this, he says وظاهر كلامه, and what is apparent from his words, أن هذا في المباشرة دون الفرج إذا أنزل. ظاهر كلامه, what is apparent when you read this, it refers to when a person has foreplay, falls into foreplay, لكن he doesn't what? He ejaculates. لكن it's foreplay, لكن he ejaculates. وهو غير متجه, and it is not valid, it is not correct, it is not taken into consideration in that case. Why? لأنه لم يفسد, because لم يفسد إحرامه, لأن his ihram has not become nullified. It is not invalid, it doesn't become invalid. So why would he need to what? Go and do ihram. So he says حتى يحتاج لتجديده. Aslan, his ihram is still valid, it is not invalid, so why would he need to renew it, he says. فالمباشرة, for mubashara, foreplay, كسائر المحرمات, it is like the rest of those things that are haram, from cutting your hair, from using perfume, from cutting nails and so on. غير الوطئ, other than وطئ intercourse يعني. It is like the other things that are prohibited in ihram other than what? Other than intercourse. وإنما ذكروا هذا الحكم, it can be said that they only mention this حكم ضمن وطئ بعد التحلل الأول, after mentioning the تحلل الأول, after mentioning what you have to do if you have intercourse after التحلل الأول or بعد التحلل الأول, على وجه الاحتياط, just to be on the safe side. So he says it may be that they mention this, or the author mentioned this, to be on the safe side, to say that because the person has ejaculated after foreplay, then they go out and renew the ihram. للقول بالإفساد, because there's an opinion in the madhab that says that the ihram is invalid. Because there's an opinion that says that ihram is invalid. He says this in the Golden Mughbi'. طيب. نعم. إلا يكون. نعم. Then he says رحمه الله, وإحرام المرأة كرجل في اللباس إلا في اللباس, and the ihram of the woman is exactly the same as the ihram of the man, except in the clothing. So the only thing that they differ over in ihram is their clothing. So he says وتجتنب البرقع والقفازين وتغطية وجهها. She has to, ويباح لها التحلي. So she has to stay away from what? Wearing يعني covering of the face, wearing the niqab, or wearing gloves. نعم. So burqa is like similar to the niqab. It is a form of niqab. So it is impermissible for her to what? To cover her face, to use the niqab, to wear gloves. That is impermissible for her to do so. And the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا تَنْتَقِبُ الْمُحْرِمَةُ وَلَا تَلْبِسِ الْقُفَّازَيْنِ. He prohibited ﷺ the woman from wearing the niqab, and meaning the covering of the face, and wearing gloves. So that is prohibited for her to do so. However, if she's across or comes near men that are obviously not from her family or husband or her children or her sons, then she has to cover her face. So there's a difference here between covering the face with a niqab and covering the face. There's a difference between the two. So she's allowed to wear a garment that goes down, or something similar to this. Sometimes you find them, I think it's like a cap or something like that, and it has the niqab falling over, or the covering, or a khimar or something like that going over the face and covering over the head. Then that is permissible. Like, what is impermissible is what? The niqab and the what? And gloves. طيب. ويباح لها التحلي, لكن it is permissible for her to wear tahalli. It is permissible for her to wear a tahalli, to beautify herself, to wear gold and so on and so forth in a state of ihram. Then it is permissible for her to do so. No. As for covering obviously of the face, Aisha radiallahu anha mentions that they would, when they were performing Hajj with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would, whenever men would come near them, they would put around a garment around their faces, so no one would be able to see. Like, وَيُبَاحُ لَهَا تَحَلِّي or beautifying herself is permissible, because that is the asl. We'll stop there inshallah. Babul Fidya. It's quite long. It requires explanation. Any questions?
With regards to the niqab, is what's prohibited the niqab itself or touching of the face as well?
The niqab itself and the covering of the face.
So the thing you have on top, for example, touch the face?
They should avoid it touching their faces. It shouldn't cover their face close to their face like that. Like, and if it's meant to cover their face. Okay.
You know, regarding the fifth condition for slaughtering a camel, something like that.
The fifth condition for?
What was it? For before exiting partially
Air.
the two of them. Is that just for a camel, or could that be any?
That has to be a camel.
It has to be a camel.
And if they can't find, maybe that was the fatwa of the Sahaba, camel. The 5 things if a person falls into intercourse. Number 1, tawbah ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, the Hajj is fasid. Number 3, they carry on in their Hajj. And number 4, they what? They repeat it the next year, they do qada of it. And number 5, they slaughter a camel. Huh?
Question says, those that offer catering for the Hajj technically go and slaughter for them so they can buy food and stuff for their stays. Is this permissible? Because it's business, even though it's intended for the Hajj.
They're not hunting for this Hajj, like no one hunts for the Hajj. What is prohibited is the hunting that goes on. Like as for sheep and camels and so on, that's fine. In the haram, outside of the haram, when you're in a state of haram, when you're not in a state of haram. Otherwise, that would mean no one eats.
ولا يحرم حيوان إنسي. Do animals like cats and stuff come into that?
لا, what do you mean? Hold on.
Like domesticated, like once a man.
لا ولا يحرم إنس حيوان. لا, حيوان that is that you eat anyway. Cats you wouldn't eat. No, cats that you would eat. Animals that you would eat. Animals that you would eat, not cats. Go on.
With regards to the cream, you said there's like 2 types. I didn't really understand the difference. For example, let's say I have Vaseline, and normal Vaseline would be fine. If I got one that's cocoa butter or aloe vera,
صح.
would that?
The difference is some of the perfumes are intended as perfume. Lotion plus perfume. That's why the example I gave, for example, a Calvin Klein perfume, a lotion. Aslan, the intent is not only as a lotion, like it is going to smell from your body, and that is intended. As for something like cocoa butter or aloe vera or mint or something like that, it's not perfume in that it's asl. It is not considered perfume. So when you do use it, you're not, that scent is going to probably go away within a few minutes anyway. So it is not considered perfume from the asl of it. Sisters, any questions? Does combing the hair come under the mahdhurat? No, it doesn't come under the mahdhurat. Like it's sometimes, but it's better to avoid just in case hair does fall out. We're going to study that in the next lesson, inshallah. فَعَلَيْهِ جَزَاء, he needs to expiate. You know, when we said that if a person cuts his hair or a person puts on perfume, we said that they need to either slaughter a lamb or fast 3 days or feed what? How many? 6 people, sah? That's the expiation. The expiation for slaughtering is something which is called jaza. We're going to study that in the next chapter, inshallah, in the next lesson, which is that, for example, let's say a person hunts مثلا an ostrich, okay? Then the companions gave fatwa whereby what do you do if you slaughter مثلا an animal that is an ostrich or something like that? You look at that animal. Is it an animal that has something which is similar to it, which is halal? that you can buy? Or does it not have something which is similar to it? If it does have something which is similar to it, like the ostrich the Sahaba gave, that is similar to the camel. Therefore, you would, if you do hunt an ostrich, you would find out how much a camel costs, and then you would pay that. Or, mathalan, a pigeon. The Sahaba gave the fatwa that if a person slaughters or hunts a pigeon, then they would pay a sheep, as a form of punishment. So jaza is the expiation for hunting. That's what he means. As for how to do it, then inshallah we're going to study that in the next lesson.
Sister asks, if a woman is forced by her husband before tahallul, does she also need to do the 5 things mentioned?
If the Shaykh is going to mention that in the next chapter as well, if she's forced, then la. If she is forced, la. Because in the last, he's going to mention the very last line of the next chapter. He says, rahimahullah, نعم وفي العمرة شاة وإن طاوعته زوجته لزماه وإن طاوعته, if his wife obeys him in that, لزماه, then it becomes wajib upon them. Like if he forces her, then he's not, she doesn't have to be held to account for that.
Another question, when it comes to someone who's doing Hajj and they do it, for example, at the beginning of the Qa'dah, so like an Ihraam for like a month, and then they notice obviously their nails are getting longer, and they can't cut their nails without fidya. What do they do?
I think you meant qiran, anyone that comes in qiran.
Oh yeah.
Naam, qiran. That's why it's legislated to do so, to cut your nails and so on before starting the ihram. Before starting the ihram. The nails, they should leave it as they are. If they are causing the person harm and they are going to break and so on and so forth, then they can cut them, but they need to expiate. Do fidya. Barakallahu feek. Fadlak. Barakallahu feek.
You didn't mention jacket in terms of that clothing which is prohibited, because you said that you wear it when it's cold, something like that. But then the condition after that you mentioned has the shape of the body. Does the jacket not have the shape of the body?
The jacket, I said that I categorized it initially into 2 categories. Or the ulama, they categorize in 2 categories. Some say 3, like 2 is easier. Number 1, that which the text mentions that you can't wear, imama and sarawil, trousers and so on. وَمَا فِي مَعْنَاهُ, and anything that has the same meaning as it. That's when I mentioned jacket and jumpers and so on. So it is not allowed to wear any of that. As for when I said the way that you wear it, the masala that I think you're referring to is the coat. If you wear it as a coat, then you're wearing it exactly how it's normally meant to be worn. That's why that's not permissible. Lakin, let's say you have a thobe, for example, and you've forgotten your ihram in the cargo, for example, and now you're upstairs you're about to start your miqat, you're about to get to the miqat, and you want to start your ihram, and you don't have mathalan your ihram. You can take your clothing off and you can put your thobe, this sort of thobe, around your body. Why? Because that is not a way that is mu'tad. That is not a way that is impermissible normally. That is not the way that it is normally worn. Lakin if you say, what you can't do is you can't say, I'm going to stay in my thobe because my ihram is in the cargo. Last question.
In Bangladesh there's like a garment, it's like a rida, but it's connected, so it makes a loop. I think in Yemen they have something similar. Would that be considered fitted, as in you wouldn't be able to wear it for ihram?
So the garment, how does... So the bottom part is normal, izar is normal.
As in, it's like
Huh? La, ma'us is fine. Ma'us is similar to it's a garment. Ma'us is the izar. It's called sari, I think. La, what he's mentioned is something else. What the brother's mentioned is something else. Go on.
It's basically imagine like a sheet, but the end is connected, so it makes like a loop.
Which end?
Like imagine a thobe, but I cut off the top half.
It's like a towel, but the 2 ends of the towel are connected together. Like that. So there's always a circle. You can't open it up, you can't flatten it.
How are you going to put it on then? From the top?
Yeah,
You put it on
you
top
step into it
and then you
tie
tie
it.
it. Similar to how you do it in normal.
What priests wear in that?
Yeah, in Bangladesh we have it. It's like
Lala, I'm saying not Bangladesh, not priests, I know. But I'm saying the priests wear something similar to what you're describing.
No, no.
But
Maybe similar to the Ma'awis, I know.
the ma'awis is similar. The izar aslan is a ma'awis. The way you put it on ma'awis, the sari I think it's called.
Yeah, sorry, it's not connected. As in, it's just one long, and you wrap it around.
Yeah, you wrap it
This
around.
one is like it's stitched, so it's like one sheet, like a towel, and then it's connected and stitched there. The end.
Dave, how would you put it on then?
You put it on, and then you tie it.
Put it on from where? The bottom?
For example, yeah, usually it's from the bottom.
Dave, how are you going to cover the top?
The top is you might have something else, for example, or usually you put it above your belly button.
Ah, you know, so you know, women wear halves, isn't it? You know, halves that women wear, similar to that, isn't it? Half that they wear. Huh? Skirt.
Kind of like a skirt.
That's what I meant. That's what I have. Skirt. That's fine. So the middle of it is what? How is it connected? It's like it's tightened up, kind of.
It's usually you tie yourself.
That's fine. That's fine. No, you can put it on. You can put it on. However, you can put it on from the top. Even with the ihraam, the top part. Usually it's put on like that, isn't it? Yeah. But you can also just put it on here on your neck. Put like a pin on there, so it goes down. Like, you know, the hijab, they call it the half hijab, the women wear. You can wear it like that. Like, it's going to rest on your shoulders, and it's just going to go down. They call it, I think, umbrella or something like that. It's a hijab. That way as well. That's permissible. Uncle Afi.
My brother. When we took the sunan of when you used the ihram, when we took the masala of the rak'atayn, I was asking how come it's legislated to pray to rak'ah? Where did you get that from?
The Prophet did it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got into his ihram after salah. Allahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Please.
وقل رب زدني علما